Okay, well, good morning and welcome back. It's the next morning. It's still pretty miserable outside, but there we go. I'm in my hazmat, which is just to stop dust and stuff getting everywhere, because I'm now going to strip this off over there in the corner, that bit of wood as well, which you probably can't see because it's hidden behind the light. Start denailing, getting rid of the, basically the leftover stuff, and then I shall brush the beams, because that'll be the first bit. Is give them a good brush and probably brush the walls as well, so that everything that will just falls off. That's the plan, so here goes. Okay, well, because it's still a bit dusty, I've kept my mask on. So that was most of the excess wood that's come off. As you saw, there's still a whole lot of organic soot that comes down with it, so brushing the beams will bring down a lot more, but it needs to be done. The next thing I'm going to do is get rid of this. All of the electrics have been capped in here. So I'm going to take off those plugs, take out the wiring all the way across, and tear all of that down and put it somewhere so that the metal man can pick it up, because I think he's interested in copper. As you can see, they're twisted together with a bit of tape around the end. So not ideal, certainly not the way I do electrics. So there we go, that's the next thing to do. So the electrics are out, but now it looks like I didn't do anything yesterday. Another ton of muck that's dropped from the ceilings and will have to be swept up and put away. But before I do that, obviously get as much muck as is possible. So I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to brush as much off the beams as I can with the broom, and then take out some of the 60,000 nails that over the last 200-300 years have been hammered in. Yeah, okay. Well, there we go. A block of wood with a piece of string. I shouldn't have pulled on the piece of string, but that was fine. So there we go. You can see that's our corner bit where the roof is bound into the wall. Everything looks pretty good, actually, to be honest. I'm not concerned. There are no signs of any humidity, no water coming in anywhere at all on the roof. And the floor is bone dry except for that bit of washing up liquid disaster from yesterday. So yeah, I think I'll probably have to take off some of the plaster. I want to get as much to fall off the walls as I can, and off the beams obviously, before I do anything else. But yeah, no, everything looks excellent. There's no infiltration at all. And that was the most important thing. So we got plenty of work before this becomes a usable kitchen. But well, I'm not really afraid of a bit of work. If you look at the results in the rest of the house, I'm super happy. And yet another key. So yeah, that's the plan. Brush everything down, see what we've got, take some nails out, and then start clearing out there, which I'm not looking forward to on my hands and knees, but still needs to be done. Right, get on with it. Okay, well, as you can see, getting the nails out isn't such an easy task either, but needs to be done. So yeah, there we go. It's just probably going to be an hour of pulling nails on the bottom side, and then I'll get the ladder and do the top sides, because obviously there's going to be plenty of nails in there too. I pulled most of them up with the wooden lap flooring that was up there. But there we go. So yeah, I'm filthy, I'm sweating, it's miserable outside, and this is exceedingly boring. So these are not the nicest or funnest bits of the renovation, to be honest with you. Still, just keep going. So look at all the transpiration, I think it's called, when trees put water back up into the atmosphere. So as you can see, it rained quite a lot, but it is clearing up over here. It's very dark over there, and we'll see what happens. I don't, as you know, trust the iPhone weather forecast anymore at all. Okay, well, I've had a quick lunch and the weather is cleared up. There's definitely some sun going on out there. So what I'm going to do now is get rid of the wood that we took down this morning, which is down here on the floor. I've put that on the pile so I can take it to the tip. Sweep up everything that's come off and put it on that pile over there. And then I'm going to try and move the pew bench as best I can, and then I'll come back. Okay, well, I've broken my broom, and there's a blue one here, so I'll see if I can make that work. We'll have to see. But let me show you the floor. So with all the dust that's come down, it's sort of like grouted it. I will have to suck it out with a hoover, but I'm going to have to re-grout everywhere. So, but it's sort of lost with the dust and everything any notion of what's new and what's old. So I'm really happy with that, actually. Looks great. So yeah, now I just need to get all of that in the corner, get rid of that bit of mesh fencing, and put the pew somewhere. I might be able to get it outside, actually, for now, we'll see. And then set up for the next phase, get rid of all of this as well. Okay, well, this time it really is empty, except that pile of soot there in the corner. Yeah, that'll be about a trailer load. The neighbours asked me if I can take some of his stuff down as well, so I will. I've changed the handle on the broom and then broke it. But if you just now look at the floor while it's dusty, with this cooking square, but everything else, you'd be quite hard pressed to know that that wasn't the original floor, I think. So that makes me happy. Let me go and show it from the other way around, because this is generally how you'd walk into the room. I think we hit the nail on the head there, which is excellent. So it's Saturday. I can't get rid of that today. Which isn't the end of the world. I'm going to clear off the last couple of things that are there on the windowsill, and then get rid of all of this wood here, stack it up neatly outside. The pew is only provisionally outside, but this is what it looks like in the daylight. Now that is probably more MM than WW. If you know anything about the name of the family who used to live here, it was Marioni. So, and the dot is at the bottom. I don't know why it was done upside down though. But there we go. It's not actually in such bad shape. I think really, really good clean and then an oil, and I'd leave it like that. It is a bit dark, but if everything else is white, it'll be fine. It's obviously pretty rustic, but I love it. Except that nail. I don't know why that's there. We'll have that out. So there we go. Head back inside and start getting that stuff down and tidy up. This window will stay as a window, and that will stay as a door, and so will that window. I'm going to leave it as original as possible, but I'm going to obviously have to completely build a window for here. The frame looks all right actually, and the traditional metal bars that most of the houses here have. There's some stuff stuck in the window here. See that bottom pane? There's an old wasp's nest there. Just try that so they don't come back. Yeah, that's properly knackered. But I can take the size off it and basically just build something identical that isn't all warped and hang it in there. Yeah, we got La Maria. Lots of little prayer sheets and what have you that seem to be all over the place. This one's in Chinese, except that it's not. It's the World Day of Missionaries. So we're going to put those somewhere. Yep, and then yeah, get rid of these. Okay, well, if you can unimagine that pile of soot there in the corner, and imagine a nice insulated white ceiling, a nice white straightish walls, a worktop. Let me zoom out. Worktop. No, not a worktop there, just units there, I think. We'll see. I have to plan the kitchen properly. It's going to be a difficult one to decide if it's just going to be a wall kitchen with everything against the wall there, or an island as well. And I think the boss will probably get in on the deciding of that. But it will be a good sized room. So where the flue is, down there probably a pellet burner to warm it all up. Door, window, door obviously out into the hallway. Yeah. I think it's going to look fabulous and it'll be nice and high and light. We just need to get these beams sort of in better shape. I did start denailing this one, which is an immediate difference. So I'm going to get on and do that. And then we'll give them their first clean as we will the walls. But that'll take some setting up. So I think I'm going to do some more denailing now. And then, as the weather will be nice tomorrow morning, get going straight away tomorrow. There's a village polenta dinner tonight, so I'll be going to that, which means I probably won't get such an early start tomorrow, but we'll see. But yeah, when I stand right in the corner here, you get quite a good idea of the space. It's going to look a bit weird with all of these beams, but that's part of the history of the house. Now I started taking them out, I suppose. You take out every second one, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Got some hooks. I want to leave as much there as possible in what's sensible to leave there. So obviously this door needs to be swapped out because that's not a useful door for for a room that's going to be heated. Oh look, what a surprise, more keys. I don't know where all of these keys are supposed to go. This door doesn't even have a lock. There are keys everywhere. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to do some denailing, and even that does make a a visual difference. You see, when they put in the ceiling, this beam was a little lower, so it was sort of chopped at. And when they put in the trap to get upstairs, they chopped out these bits here. But that's sort of part of the history. I'm not concerned about that. I think, you know, I don't really want rust, so I'll have these brought back and then hammerite them in black or something, and leave the beam, because I quite like this little cross beam. And obviously now that floor is redone at the same level as this floor, there's plenty of height. I'm 6'4", and there's plenty of room above me till we get, to the beam. So the beams are at about seven, I would guess about 7 footish. And then there's another up to the middle, probably, well, let's measure it. Okay, well, with a lot of faffing about, I managed to get the tape measure up to the bottom of that upper beam, the top beam. So from the bottom of that to the top of this is 2 meters 30. And then from, let's see if we can get this. So from there, from the top of there to the floor. Oops. Come on. There is, does it say how long this is? It doesn't. Well, 235 to there, which you can't see because it's out of focus. So 235 plus the length of this, call it 5. So 240 plus 230 is 4 meters 70 to the bottom of that beam. Now obviously there'll be plasterboard and stuff, but we're just giving you an idea. So 4 meters 70. Let me work out what that is in inches. Okay, well that's 15 feet and 5 inches to the highest point. And then, let's see if I can squeeze this phone in here, which will hold it. Yep. To the lowest point, which is about there. Tape measures aren't really designed for this. Up. Yeah, it'll probably be about there with plasterboard and things. It's 3 meters 40, which in feet and inches is almost exactly 11 foot. How great is my mental arithmetic? So yeah, it's a big, open, high space, and with everything white and some creative lighting, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, I've just procrastinating and putting off pulling nails because it's pretty boring. But it has to be done, so I'm going to get on and do it now. Okay, so I've done the first 3 bottom side. There are still some sticking out of the top, as you can see, which I'll either hammer in or, well, I don't know. But yeah, it's super long. As you see, the floor is just strewn with nails everywhere. And that's 3 out of 7, so another 4 to go. And surprisingly enough, these modern nails, they come out with no problem at all, but the older nails, like this one here, somehow don't. You see these little ceramic insulators, that's what the old, very old electrical cables ran on. So I'm going to leave them for now. If they come back up white, they can just stay there. So yeah, let's do this one here. This shouldn't be too hard, and as we get over there, obviously there are less and less because the ceiling wasn't nailed in, so there are only those that are on top, plus these here, which are obviously just for hanging stuff on. So they'll probably be a pain to get out, but there aren't too many of them. Okay, so well, we're getting there. That's another one done. But look at this, they've put a nail through the middle of a washing clip, so you can just hang something up. I thought that was quite clever. So yeah, just keep going. Everything else is pretty good. And there we go, a million nails later, we're done. So yes, there are still nails on top. I need to go and get the ladder and deal with them. But other than that, pretty good. There's still a couple of bits, you know, like hooks and stuff that have been knocked into the wall, but they will, with time, disappear. So I think it's time to move on to the next phase here. What's that? Did that used to be a plug? That might have been a plug at some point. Oh yes, look, there's an isolator. The cable would have come down and there would have been a plug there. Isolator goes up there, and then here to there, and along the beam and out to the, presumably to the front. Okay, yeah. So it's been a strenuous day's work. I despise working above my head, but there'll be plenty more of working above my head. The sun has come out, at which point it becomes immediately warm, despite the fact that we're almost in November now. Doesn't this look great in the sun? I don't know when the last time that saw direct sunlight would have been. Probably the day it was made, or when there were still bits of tree. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to go and have a shower, and then I'm going to go and have a beer. Okay, well, good morning and welcome back. It is a much sunnier morning this morning. Outside it's still a bit sort of misty over there, but there's blue sky there, and already it's quite warm. And I have a plan for this morning. My plan for this morning might sound a bit crazy, but I think it's worth having a go at before I sandblast anything, because I haven't got a sandblaster. Quite expensive to rent, and I'd need it for a long time, and I wouldn't know where to put the big compressor, so I don't think a little one would do much. I'm going to pressure wash. I'm going to pressure wash everything with my little pressure washer. The walls, the beams, and we'll see how that comes up. So I'm going to put down a tarp, and I've got a wet vac so I can suck it off afterwards. But I'm going to see, what we can get off the walls, how clean we can get the walls, so that they can be finished. I think, you know, some of the black stuff is going to be difficult, but it will be interesting to see what it does to the beams. So here goes. Let me get the tarp out, the pressure washer plugged in, and then we'll give it a shot. Okay, well, it's not much fun, to be honest. But let's have a look. It's certainly cleaned them. It's quite hard to tell how they're going to look. I need something to sort of dry them down a bit. I'm dripping. It's certainly getting a lot of muck off everything else. I don't think we're doing too much damage. I'm going to obviously warm the room overnight afterwards to let it dry properly. But yeah, it sort of brings it back a bit. They are still dark, and they will stay dark unless we sandblast them, at which point they come up to this, which isn't actually that far off. Yeah, well, I'm going to do all of them, and I'm going to do all of the walls. It's not making much difference up here, or really huge amount on the plaster, but it might over here where it's a little bit more sort of flaky. If we could just get that front layer off, that would be a result, I think. So yeah, so I'm going to pull the top a metre across, and we'll have a go at this one. I don't want to spend all day doing this because I don't think it's the final or best end solution, but what it is doing is it's getting rid of the dust, it's arresting the dust, so it's not sort of like everything else so far coming up at me. I don't think it looks too bad. It's come up sort of, there are bits where it took the edge of the bark off. I'm going to go and get a rag, wipe it down a bit, we'll see. Try and get a feel for the actual colour yet. But there we go. It's clean, it's better, and then we'll think about it. My worry, to be honest, is if we make them, you know, clean them up and make them look new, or, you know, bring the colour back to when they were fitted, it'll look a bit strange, because they are dark and everything else will be light, and that contrast could actually be quite nice. So yeah, I'm not sure. Gonna keep going and then dry out the room, and we'll have a look probably then tomorrow morning. Okay, well, it cleans them up quite nicely, but the wall, and this is interesting, where there's sort of this render right here, not much happens. But where it's the actual stone, like here, there, it it sort of comes right back. It's still a bit brown, but it's certainly getting rid of a lot of what's on the wall. So that's interesting. I guess what it means is I'm going to have to mechanically remove render first. And then pressure wash the walls and probably the floor as well. And then we'll have something clean. So yeah, I'm going to keep going. I only have 2 more beams to do, and then I'm going to get something to dry. So what it does do is, you see this like dust and mold, and it really does get rid of that very well. So they look 1,000 times better, and it'll be interesting to see if, when they're dry, if that'll do, or if we need to come back with something else. There's a lot of water vapour floating about. It's quite spectacular. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing this, and then I'll show you once they're all done. You see, if you look at this one's got quite a lot of mould on it. That just disappears. So yeah, I'm going to keep going, get everything done once except the walls. I might just go quickly over the walls once. That might soften it up for me when I come in with the chisel and a mask and glasses and God knows what. But yeah, it's not upstairs. It isn't too bad because obviously most of the smoke accumulated down here. It would have been covered in chestnuts, and it would have kind of sat there and then run down the walls. I guess it's more of the sugars from the chestnuts running down the walls, and the smoke sort of stagnating here in the room. So yeah, anyway, I want to get this finished. Okay, so all done. I'm going to go and get the ladder so I can do the top ones, and then leave it to dry. The wind is blowing a little bit, so it should dry quite quickly, I guess, if I open everything up. Shouldn't be too bad. It's a filthy mess in here, but nothing that a good broom, once I get a new handle, which I might do today. Paradox of Italy, staunchly Catholic country, everything open on a Sunday. So I can go and get one later on maybe. Yeah, so ladder. Get up there, won't be, I might be able to film it, we'll see. But otherwise, it's got rid of the dust, it's got rid of the mould, so it looks a million times better than it did. I don't know if it'll do or not, we'll find out once it's dry. You can see it's already it's absorbing the water, obviously, because they're probably pretty dry inside there, like cement. So, well, we'll see. That's it. That'll have to do for now. I might have pressure washed my iPhone a little bit in the process, but What's interesting is this sort of foam that's sort of building up as it's coming off, and obviously it's taking some of the colour out with it because it's a bit yellowy. But yeah, it was definitely worth doing. It got all of the rest of the toot off the top of those beams, and there was a lot. It got rid of all the mould from everywhere. So now doors and windows open, and then I'll come back and have a look in a couple of hours, and I might put a space heater in overnight. We'll see. But basically, although now it looks worse, it is better, I promise. Okay, well, I stole the broom handle off the indoor broom. I've given a quick sweep. There's still a little bit of standing water, but nothing dramatic. And obviously it's now all pretty filthy, but this 100-year-old dust mixed with water just makes a sort of, well, a grout almost, a sludge. So I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll be able to sweep it up, and we'll pop all of this in the trailer tomorrow or the day after, and then the room will be clean and empty. You see the isolators that were completely black have come up white just from the pressure washing. So it's not such a big, it's not as big a layer or a thicker layer of stuff as I thought. I guess they would have been burning chestnut, which isn't sort of very sappy. It's not like burning pine. Pine, everything will be covered in much more sludge than this. So yeah, anyway, there we go. Not much to do now really, except wait. Looks, I mean, yeah, they're dark, but they're wet, and they will lighten up a bit when they dry. And then they'll be waxed or sealed in some way with a white, completely white ceiling behind. Do we go for sandblasting? Yay or nay? That's going to be the question. So I've just come back from the Sunday lunch aperitivo at the Cooperativa, and these are drying up nicely. They are quite dark, but honestly, I think I'm going to leave them as they are, which is good news. So once all of this is dry properly, I'll give it a good scrub. You see some of the stones are drying out, and then we can get on to the next stage. But this afternoon's project is going to be clearing out this, which will be quite exciting, I think, I hope. Okay, well, I've had a quick lunch. It's sort of clouding over, but as you can see, the floor is drying out. The beams are definitely drying out, and they look pretty good, actually. So, check out my wonderful jumper. If you haven't got one, get yourselves on. What I'm going to do now, as promised, is empty this. I'm wearing my normal clothes, so hopefully I won't get too dirty. I'm going to just take everything out, and then we'll go through what's in there. It looks like it was used to store scrap metal until the metal guy would come by. So yeah, I'm just going to pull everything out now that everything else here is done. And then I will call the scrap metal guy to come pick up what is scrap metal, and we'll see if there's anything worth keeping. So first up, you'll notice that the door is actually made of an old door that's sort of been screwed together. Actually quite a nice old door. I even left the old lock on it. But there we go. Let's start pulling stuff out. So I'm actually going to need my torch in here. There's a whole lot of no idea what that is. Look, a hammer. So I'm going to pull everything out, and then we'll have a look once everything's out. But you see, this is proper shiny stuff. So yeah, get everything out, and then we'll go through what I found. Okay, well, the donkey iron, you know, an old postcard from Paris, and this. So it looks like this was actually set aside for the Iron Man. This is a loo cistern made out of cast iron, it looks like. This is for hanging pots at different heights, so you just kind of hook it in, and then it hooks onto the top of the pot, and that's in quite good condition. I might keep that just as a piece of decoration. We have a chestnut roaster, completely rusted through, bit of a bed, some old shovels and things. There's this chestnut roaster that we looked at last time, and the nightstand with the bellows. They might be worth keeping. We got a couple of these, a pair of these. These are, and I know what these are because I've seen them before. So these go in a fireplace, and you pop your logs on top of them and let them burn. And there is, in fact, this one, which is also one, but has lost a leg and has a some sort of holder in the front of it. Not quite sure what that's all about. Then we have, a whole load of interesting things. I'm not quite sure what these are. They look like they're feet from something. Stamped 30. They are quite heavy. There's a ball in the bottom of this one. Does anyone know what this is? That's quite interesting. And in fact, there's two of those. That one has a ball in it as well. So I might have a quick ask around what that is. These are, I don't know, they look like bits of old ovens and what have you. Lids. A pétanque ball, but it's unfortunately made of plastic. This, which looks like perhaps a salt sprinkler of some sorts, on a little handle. Something in it. I'll open it up in a minute and have a look. This, which could be a bell of some sorts, I suppose. This, which is missing a leg to pop a pot on top of a fire. Some pots. This looks remarkably like some sort of pesticide sprayer. Ooh. Hopefully that's just rust and nothing nasty that's coming out of there. And then we have a bucket. Well, a bucket, it's not a bucket, it's a pot with holes in it. We have a shoe. Some brackets, some lids. Basically it looks, well, look, that looks like a weight off a cuckoo clock. Imagine what you'll find here. I mean, this is rural Italy. You're supposed to find cuckoo clock weights here, I don't think. Some saw blades, spoon, basically everything that could be of any scrap metal value has been sort of stored away over time. And a lock, another spoon, a wedge to split wood, presumably. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff here. There's nothing actually, unfortunately, of any real interest. I'm going to try and find out what those are. I might keep the sprinkler and we'll have a look inside that in a minute. And I'll see if the cooperativa wants that, maybe even with the bellows to kind of stand out somewhere. That's not a particularly nice nightstand, so no point keeping that. And the rest of it will go to the Iron Man. So I shall give him a call in a minute and see when he's around. Get rid of it, and then well, I think those two might interest somebody. And this one with a broken leg, probably not, but we'll see. So there we go. Everything else in here, I'm going to have to turn it off and turn it back on again so that the light lights up. So everything else in here looks like old bricks. These are the bricks that interim wall was made of. And those are some normal bricks. And quite a lot of, I'm not quite sure what it is. Sort of chestnut dust. So yeah, but once it's all out, there is sort of looks like a concrete floor in here, and there's no mold or signs of moisture. There's just a lot of signs of smoking, so we'd have to fix it or cover it or both. Above here is the hallway and the staircase, the marble staircase in the front hall. And below here is obviously the cellar. But let me turn the camera around. You see I'm on my properly crouched down. It's very low, so not really useful for anything in here. You could put a washing machine in the doorway, I suppose, but that would block off the rest of the room. So I'm really not sure, certainly not a loo or anything. Anyone has any really clever ideas? I don't really want to kind of get down on my hands and knees every time I want a can of tomatoes. So yeah, it's a bit funny that. I think most of these, the hollow bricks will certainly go out with the toot in the trailer, and the big bricks I'll just stack them up somewhere and keep them. Everything else will go. So this will be pretty empty and quite clean very soon. But we need to find something to do with it all. I think I've worked these out. These are feet with rollers. So it looks like they've been cut off something, but they would have been on a bed or something. And you could roll it about on these very rustic metal balls. It's quite interesting. I don't know what 30 is. Perhaps the diameter could be about 3 centimeters, I guess. So yeah, other than that, pile of scrap metal. Okay, so I've asked around, and it looks like we'll put this down in the cooperativa at the bottom, just as sort of display thing. Most of the rest can go in the bin. Look, I found a pot that hangs off this, and this is probably because if you look, that bar is exactly above where these tiles are, which is where the actual cooking would have happened. So it was probably actually up over here, about there, and it would have been hung probably exactly this piece of metal, and probably in fact that pot at some point, and soup or whatever would have been cooked in it. So yeah, it is a bit like a museum really. Okay, well that's it for today, and probably in fact for this video, which will be a couple of videos in a couple of days, which is quite exciting. And tomorrow I'm going to go and look at some houses again. Well, 2 houses and an apartment. And I will not shake my video camera around. I promise you, I want my iPhone video camera. It's me being posh again. And I will try and film it much better than I did. And then in the afternoon, I guess I'll start loading up and get the iron guy in and get rid of as much of this as possible, so that this room will be completely empty and I can start thinking about running wiring and what have you. I'm going to wait for the boss to come down. She's coming down in 3 days' time with the kids, because the decision of how we build the kitchen, if we're going to have a wall kitchen and an island, or just a wall kitchen, if we want to keep that alcove there. All of these things we need to talk about and work out. As you can see, the floor is drying up perfectly. and looks, well, it just looks like it was one floor, that it had always been one floor. Obviously it's filthy, but it does really kind of fit in. I'm really super happy with that. That's one of my big successes so far. The beams are drying out exceptionally well, and yes, they're dark, but they look great. So they're going to stay that way. I'm not going to bother with more than that. And I found a sealing compound that I can spray on the walls, because I'm going to double the walls. I'm not going to plaster the walls because this black would always come through the plaster, I think, eventually. Especially because you need to let the walls breathe. So what I'm going to do is double the walls, I think, with an aeration behind to stop anything going mouldy, and then insulation. It will enable me to run all of the pipes, the wires and everything else away. It'll have a nice smooth white finish, which for a kitchen is good because, you know, grease and fat and water vapor and what have you will stick on exposed stones. And we've got all of this, you know, this massive wood and the stone floor, so it'll still feel like an old room even if it has white walls. So that at the moment is where I'm at. It's just everything doubled up in plasterboard with an aeration behind it to keep the walls healthy. It's going to be difficult to do. If you look at this wall here, for example, if I stand up, and I do stand straight-ish, as you can see, that is really quite far off. My spirit level is here. So if we try and get this wall vertical on a metre, we're losing 3 centimetres. So it will be challenging to get everything sort of straight. But I think it'll really be worth it in the end. So yeah, there we go. That's where I'm at the moment. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, come back for more. And I'll see you all very soon. I hope you're well. Take care. Bye-bye for now.